Hello, and thanks for coming back to the YouTube channel 528 Hertz. I want to welcome you back to another episode of About the Plants. I had an unexpected hiatus from recording and producing these videos, and it correlates directly to the plant that I'm going to be talking about today, Helichrysum italicum. This was one of the plants that I worked with recently and closely when I was treating bruising and providing wound care with my mom following an unexpected hospitalization. So welcome back and thanks for tuning in again. I appreciate your listening ears, and I appreciate the opportunity really to share a little bit of the wisdom and knowledge I've gained through my relationships working with the plants. Helichrysum is the flower that contributes to the essential oil, and the flower, the plant itself, is sometimes referred to as everlasting or the immortal plant, and that's because the flowers stay in blossom for so long. So stay tuned, because later in this conversation I'll touch on exactly why that is, and it has to do with the petals. Helichrysum offers incredible healing benefits that the oil and that the plant is renowned for. It has to do with cellular regeneration, and so it is able to help us speed healing. And I am going to talk to you about how I've witnessed this on the physical level, also that it heals on the emotional and energetic levels in the same way. So it's a really great companion for healing broken hearts and bestowing a sense of strength and endurance to the wounded soul. It also heals bruises and can be used for a variety of wound care. In fact, I've been so impressed with the healing properties of Helichrysum that I included it in one of my specially designed facial serums, and it features two different species of Helichrysum, both Helichrysum italicum and Helichrysum stochus. There are actually over 600 different species of this plant, and it's known by many names. So do pay attention to the genus and species, which is usually in Latin: Helichrysum italicum, Helichrysum angustifolium, Helichrysum stochus, and the 397 others. And if this is sounding confusing to you, this is a great time for me to remind you that I have an essential oil safety video where I talk about the importance of knowing the plant names in addition to the essential oils and how they're used. Let me tell you all about what this incredible herb does. It's a European herb native to France, Italy, and a few neighboring countries. Again, I had said that we use the flower to create the essential oil, and if you see in the pictures, the flower is actually kind of dry looking, so it is a very costly oil. I find this completely intriguing. There are so many different species of the plant, but we were talking about their flowers, and the flower of the immortal plant does not actually contain petals. Rather, the flower is composed of a single seed head, and there are dry bracts that are translucent and yellow looking that extend beyond that seed head to provide the appearance of petals. This is the feature that allows the immortal flowers to remain everlasting without losing their golden luster. The name Helichrysum stems from two Greek words, helios, meaning sun, and chrysos, meaning gold. This plant has some notoriously amazing healing and therapeutic abilities, which include antispasmodic, anticoagulant, it's an antihematoma, or it helps to heal bruising. There are an incredible amount of healing properties to this plant. It's complex, and I thought today I would share some personal stories in relationship to Helichrysum. I was first introduced to Helichrysum italicum through my studies in aromatherapy. And we learned all about the benefits for healing skin as well as its benefits on the body for breaking up and healing bruising. I was excited about the properties of the Helichrysum plant. And in aromatherapy, we were learning about both the essential oils and the hydrosols. The hydrosol is the water distillate that comes from the steam when you are distilling for essential oils. And the water runoff is called the hydrosol or the hydrolate or the distillate. And that water has incredible healing properties. They believe that the water carries about 20% of the plant material, so it is much more gentle than an essential oil. The other thing that I enjoy about hydrosols is because of the low amount of plant medicine that's been infused into the water, it's something that can be taken safely internally. And so oftentimes a teaspoon or a tablespoon of a hydrosol in a glass of water can be incredibly refreshing and wonderfully aromatic, so healing on multiple levels. Side note, before you take anything internally or even apply it topically, please work with a certified aromatherapist for any healing. My first personal experience with Helichrysum hydrosol was in relationship to a friend whose mom was going through chemotherapy. And in the course of chemotherapy, her arm had become really, really bruised. And the bruise, if you can imagine, like where an IV would go in the forearm, the bruise was almost down to the wrist and like halfway up the upper arm. So it was a site that was sore to the touch. And the first plant that really popped into my head was Helichrysum, except that in the essential oil form, I would make like a topical blend and that would be like rubbed onto the skin. And I just knew that this person was tender. And so applying a topical solution didn't seem like the right match. So I ordered a hydrosol and I got the Helichrysum italicum, which has cellular renewal powers and it also helps to heal bruising. I gave the hydrosol to my friend to give to her mom with instructions of spray around and on that bruise 2 or 3 times a day whenever she kind of would remember or think about it. A couple of weeks later, my friend comes back and reports that the bruise on her mom's arm had shrunk almost by 50%. And then she came back again a week later and showed me this photo of the bruise, which was now the size of like a quarter and a 50-cent piece. And to me, knowing what I knew about hydrosols, that they weren't as strong as essential oils, and yet here I was witnessing this incredible healing impact on the skin. That was my very first relationship with Helichrysum and learning experience with the plants. And I think it speaks to the plant and the spirit or the essence of the plant itself, its strength, its endurance, and its ability to heal wounds. I have a license in aesthetics. I went to a natural skincare school in addition to becoming a certified aromatherapist. And I really like formulating, so it wasn't too far of a reach when I decided to create a face serum. And I absolutely wanted to include the everlasting plant as part of it. And in fact, I have named the face serum the everlasting serum because it features an apricot kernel oil that has been infused with Helichrysum stochas, and then also the addition of a very, very subtle amount of the Helichrysum italicum essential oil. And this face serum uh, brings me to another story. This one's a little more humorous, if you have kind of a darker sense of humor. So, once upon a time, when I was in the process of moving, and in the move, I was not paying attention. I was really frustrated in the moment, and I'm sure you all can identify with that in some way, shape, or form. Anyhow, I threw something in this large barrel of trash that was all filled up more than I thought it was. And what I had thrown in was like it had some metal on it. It doesn't matter what it was, but it bounced out of the trash and hit my face, which that wasn't even the comical part. The worst part was like then that started bleeding and it was just a mess, and the cut itself was pretty jagged, and I wanted you to be able to see kind of the healing benefits of the skin. So what I did was I experimented on myself using the face serum with this wound that was, it wasn't too deep, but it was definitely wide. It looks like a scrape. And over the course of just using the everlasting face serum, the wound itself healed, and then there was no scar left behind. And again, this is one of the beneficial healing properties of Helichrysum. So I say this not because my face serum is amazing, which it is, but because it's incredible to be able to show people some of the regenerative powers of this plant. I got to see firsthand again, most recently with my own mother, the regenerative powers that the essential oil and the hydrosol of Helichrysum can offer. My mom ended up going into the hospital a week early from a surgical procedure that was going to work on her heart, and her heart began failing prior to the operation. So she had a week stay in the hospital, and then it ended with a surgery and being sent home. So the surgery site was actually in her femoral vein, and they sent the repair tools as well as a little camera up that vein in order to repair her heart. And there was a huge bruise, as you can imagine, from where the instruments and where that incision was. The bruise was probably, I'm looking at my hands right now trying to figure out, maybe about 6 or 8 inches. In addition, because of her hospital stay, she had been hooked up to an IV line. And so much like my friend's mom in the story at the beginning of this video, my mother also had a huge bruise that was really through 3/4 on the interior side of her arm, and even went through kind of the bottom middle tender part in the upper arm attaching towards the shoulder. I got out my supplies, and the Helichrysum hydrosol was what we used first. Now, I want to tell you that before you put anything on your skin, the wound site needs to be closed. You don't want to be putting an essential oil or rubbing your hands, which have germs on them, or even spraying something that has water, a water base, onto a wound site. So you do need to understand primary wound care. Once the incision had closed and we were able to use the hydrosol, and it did in fact shrink the bruising significantly, probably about 2 weeks or so post-surgery, she began using a formulated amount of the Helichrysum essential oil. And again, not on the wound site, but around the wound site once that bruise felt less tender and began to heal. The combination of my mom using the hydrosol as well as a specially formulated Helichrysum blend has healed her bruises, and we're now about a month out from the surgery, so hopefully all will continue to go positively. So Helichrysum is always one that I keep on hand, both in the essential oil form as well as in the hydrosol. It has come in handy so many times for refreshing, renewing the skin, attending to bruises, both of the heart and the emotional wounds, as well as the physical ones. If you're interested in aromatherapy practices, please check out my website at ChristinaLDaniels.com. And if you just enjoy learning about the plants, please come back or subscribe to 528 Hertz. Wishing you a great day ahead.